In this video, we'll discuss how to maintain your precision-guided firearm. Now, there are two elements of maintenance that you need to keep in mind. The first is the electronics, and the second is the firearm. Starting with the electronics, the most important thing to keep in mind is that you need to keep the software updated on your system. As we discussed in a prior video, you'll use your smart device to download an update from the internet to the smart device, and then from the smart device to your precision-guided firearm to keep everything up to date. In addition to updates, you'll want to make sure that you clean and keep dust and dirt and debris off your optic. When you clean your system, be careful not to use any corrosive chemicals or anything that could damage some of the components, and also be careful about using water. The system is water resistant, but it's not waterproof, and if you submerge any of the components, you're probably going to have a problem. The last aspect of the electronics or of the optic is lenses. Now, these are high-performance lenses that have a lot of coatings that can be damaged when you clean them with coarse cloths. So make sure you use a lens cloth or something that's appropriate for cleaning high-end optics. So that's how you maintain the electronics, specifically the network tracking scope. If you keep it updated and keep it clean, you're going to be fine. The next element of maintenance that we need to consider is the firearm. Now, this is a precision custom bolt action rifle, and it's very important that we clean it properly. These guns need to be cleaned once every 60 rounds or every time you transition from hunting to match ammunition, no matter what your round count is. Now, your system comes with a cleaning kit. These are the elements in the cleaning kit. First is a cleaning rod. It's coated so that it doesn't damage the inside of the bore. These three items right here comprise a bore guide. I'll show you how to put that together when we start cleaning. These are cleaning patches. These are attachments for the cleaning rod. This one is called a jag. This one is a bore brush. This is a lubricant. This is a copper solvent. And this is a bore cleaner. The first thing that we do every time we sit down to clean a firearm is ensure that firearm is clear and safe. Check the safety lever, make sure it's on safe. Drop the magazine. Charge the bolt to the rear. And visually inspect the chamber. This firearm is safe. We're then going to remove the bolt. Press this button, fold the stock to the rear. The bolt comes out, it sticks at the end. There's a button on the left rear of the action. Press the button, bolt comes out. We're now ready to clean our firearm. Now that we're clear and safe and have the bolt removed, we'll get our bore guide put together and set up. O-rings face forward, silver part goes over. You'll have to play with this a little bit to find out exactly where it goes, but roughly right here. You then insert this into the chamber, like so. So the bore guide, you'll actually run the rod through the bore guide. It prevents you from damaging the bore or the chamber as you run a cleaning rod through your barrel. Now let's get our cleaning rod set up. The first thing we're going to do is attach the jag. So there's a connector that you will first screw in, and then you'll simply screw the jag over the top. Now, the way the jag works, or the way you use this, is you actually take a cloth patch and you punch it through. You'll want to punch it a little bit off-center. And just like this, you can either run a wet or a dry patch through the bore guide, through the bore. Now, when you use the jag, it's very important that you push it all the way through out the muzzle, and then you take the patch off and pull it back through before you install another patch. So after that, we'll also be using our bore brush. So this screws on the same way the jag did. You unscrew the jag, you put this on. The one thing you need to think about when you use the bore brush is that it's important that the bore brush fully exit the muzzle before you pull it back through. It's okay to pull it back through, but all of the bristles need to fully be past the end of the muzzle so they can reorient themselves before you pull it back through. Now that we're all set up, let's walk through the cleaning regimen. So the first thing that you're going to do is use the jag and the bore cleaner. You're going to run 3 to 4 patches through the bore of bore cleaner. Once that's finished, we're then going to transition into the copper solvent. So it's important to note that once you start using the copper solvent, you don't want to leave it in the bore for more than 15 minutes or so. So take note of when you start. But the first thing that you do is you run one wet patch with copper solvent through the bore, and then you let it sit for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes has elapsed, then you're going to transition to copper solvent in the bore brush. So you'll do this 3 to 4 times or until your 15 minutes has elapsed. At this point, you'll transition back to bore cleaner and the jag. So we'll run a wet patch and then a dry patch. We'll alternate 3 or 4 cycles or until we feel our firearm is clean. That's it. We have a clean firearm. So the last thing that we need to do is apply a light coat of lubrication. The way we do that is we take our lubricant and we apply a tiny bit on the bolt lugs, here, 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 and here, and that's it. We don't need to go overboard on lubrication. We then would remove the bore guide, reinstall the bolt, put the system back together, and we're ready to go. So this is how you maintain a precision-guided firearm. Remember to keep the software updated on your system, keep the network tracking scope free of dirt and dust and debris, clean your firearm once every 60 rounds, and every time you transition from hunting to match ammunition, and that's all there is to it. So thank you very much for your time in watching these videos. Please give us a call if you have any other questions, and please enjoy your precision-guided firearm.